Do you like playing classes with bow and arrow? With all of those fast movements like those cool hunters from every single MMORPG games? Well, too bad, because the bow and arrows for this game are for the most flamboyant gay job called Bard. Bard is a physical range DPS class that I would say is harder than most classes to get into, but at the same time very fun to play. The class itself provides a lot of buff for the party and has a lot of room for optimization. With the Dawntrail update, Bard plays pretty much the same, but with some tweaks and quality of life changes. We'll also follow up to old skills like the other classes. In this guide, I will explain to you some rule of thumbs in playing the level 100 Bard while showing you the rotation itself so you can understand it better. This is Aylaveen and here's my level 100 Bard rotation guide. Personally for me, the game changer here is the update on Barrage, where the skill now grants a different buff from the Refulgent Arrow itself. So you don't have to be afraid of drifting it because you have Refulgent Arrow when you're supposed to use Barrage. Barrage itself also gives a follow-up GCD called Resonant Arrow that deals a significant amount of damage. Meanwhile, Bloodletter is upgraded to Heartbreak Shot, and with that, Mage's Ballad is now your second strongest song. So if previously we maximized the duration on Army's Paeon, now we shift more duration on Mage's Ballad. They also give you a new follow-up GCD to Radiant Finale, which is Radiant Encore, that deals AoE damage depending on how much cooldown you have. With all of that changes out of the way, here's some rule of thumbs in playing the level 100 Bard. Number 1. Play your songs in this sequence: Wanderer's Minuet to Mage's Ballad to Army's Paeon. This is because Wanderer's Minuet is your strongest song as its repertoire gives you Pitch Perfect, an OGCD skill that gets more powerful as the stacks goes up. That's why you want it to be first in line with your rate buffs. Number 2, change your songs to Mage's Ballad with 3 seconds left on Wanderer's Minuet, to Army's Paeon on 6 seconds left on Mage's Ballad, and to Wanderer's Minuet with 9 seconds left on Army's Paeon. As we said before with Heartbreak Shot, Mage's Ballad is now your second strongest song, so you want to have more of its duration. Well, on the previous patch, we swapped to AP at around 10 to 12 seconds left. Now we swap on 6 seconds left to add more time on Mage's Ballad. Number 3, use Raging Strike, Battle Voice, and Radiant Finale inside Wanderer's Minuet. These are your primary 2-minute buffs, so using all of them alongside your Wanderer's Minuet as the strongest song is crucial. Number 4, use Barrage, Resonant Arrow, Radiant Encore inside the buff window. These are your 2-minute burst damage, and you need to use it with the rate buff. Using Resonant Arrow and Encore is a given, since they are the follow-up skills of Barrage and Radiant Finale. Just don't forget to use it. Number 5, use Imperial Arrow and Sidewinder on cooldown. Imperial Arrow is a 15-second cooldown that triggers your song's repertoire, and that means you also increase your Apex gauge by 5 every time you use it, since every repertoire trigger gives you that. You want to be using this on cooldown, preferably when your Apex gauge is not capped, but you should still use it even when it caps if you need to hold Apex for your next burst window. Meanwhile, Sidewinder is a 60-second cooldown skill that you also have to use on cooldown. Number 6, use Apex Arrow on odd minute window as pseudo 60-second skill and a fully charged one on 2-minute window under rate buffs. The way I usually do this is when my Mage's Ballad has 20 seconds left on the timer, I release it no matter what, or when it's around my Sidewinder cooldown since it's also 60 seconds. Either way, this is to guarantee a fully charged Apex Arrow for my rate buff so we can have a maximum damage output. Number 7, use Refulgent Arrow every time it procs. Since Refulgent Arrow is quite stronger than Burst Shot, you have to use it immediately every time it procs and not hold it, so your next Burst Shot can trigger another Refulgent Arrow. Number 8, use Pitch Perfect every time it has 3 charges and right before you change into Mage's Ballad. Pitch Perfect is the reason why Wanderer's Minuet is your strongest song, and using it at its max gauge is a must, other than right before you change the song to avoid DPS loss. Number 9, refresh your DOT every time it's 5 seconds or less on the timer and right before your rate buff finish. Since Bard has 2 different DOTs, refreshing both with Iron Jaws is a must. And since refreshing it under rate buff means it's empowered for the rest of its duration, you have to do it also before the rate buff finishes to ensure a maximum DPS tick from the dot. Number 10, maximize Heartbreak Shot under the rate buff. Normally, you want to keep pressing Heartbreak Shot under Wanderer's Minuet and Mage's Ballad, but you need to pay attention on AP. I generally stop using it when my AP timer is around 30 seconds left. to ensure at least 3 charges under the rate buff. So now you know the rule of thumbs. But you also might ask, what's the optimal GCD for Bard right now, Ayla? My recommendation would be 2.48 until 2.5, because going any faster doesn't benefit you, and you might have to melt a lot of skill speed materia which compromises your damage output. I would recommend you to go 2.48 if you just start out, because having a leeway on the rotation is very good if you miss any GCD, but my preferred choice is 2.50, which is also the GCD used in the demo. Take a look.